Welcome to Rom Wills, Money Matters. Image plays a part in making money. You know what? I'm going to tell you something now. One of the key things when you're in business, and I don't care what the business is, it could be making YouTube videos, it could be being a plumber, it could be a cook, whatever. One of the most important things is that you fit the image. You fit the image. See, and I've talked about this on my other channel. Communication is only like 8 to 10% verbal. 8 to 10%. And I'm being very generous when I put it up to 10. I'm just rounding it up. That means the overwhelming majority of it is nonverbal. So when you in business, it's very important that you look a certain way. And it's not even just in terms of clothing, though that does play a part. But it's also in terms of how your body language is, your confidence, how you look when you're talking about performing a service. It's very important. Like, I'll give you an obvious one where image is important. You work in retail. Say you're working at a major department store. You can't if you would say you're in the men's department. Say you're in the men's department trying to sell some clothes. You're a dude. You can't come in there looking bummy. You can't come in there looking like you can't match your clothes. You need to be sharp because when some customers are coming in, they looking at you. In fact, and I've worked retail. I've worked retail, and I've had, I would get some customers come in, and that wasn't even my main job, but they'd be like, "Hey, I like that outfit you got." All right. I started hooking them up. I looked like I was there. I looked like I was working. It was like if you're a barber. You can't have no jacked up haircut. If you imagine you trying to cut people's hair, but your own haircut is jacked up. You get somebody new in there, your chair be open and stuff, and they be like, "Nah, that's all right." I've actually seen that before. Go to the barber shop and it be crowded in there, and all the barbers busy except one. They sitting there reading the paper because nobody wants to go to them. It's in everything. It's in everything. And you can't get past that. You need to look a certain way. I remember when I learned this lesson about 20 years ago. I was doing a book signing and I was real casual, and the bookstore owner just told me straight up. He was like, "Look, you up here writing a book talking about players and everything. You need to look like one." Because, I was married at the time, so I was dressed like a married man. He was like, "Nah, you need to come in here fly." Lesson learned. Lesson learned. As an aside, if you get some good business advice from any place, always just listen. Don't be like, "Well, this is how I want to do." And say, "No, listen. I listen and start making even more money doing book signings at that particular place." But it's always, you got to think about, you need to look it. And like I said, clothes are just a part of it. You need to look confident. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I remember. Now, this guy actually did a good job. It was a mechanic. I took a car into this one place. He was actually a very good mechanic and everything. But only reason I took it there, I was trying to get it past inspection. And let's just say there were some issues with the car. But he was able to fix it up enough to get past inspection. But to be honest, I didn't have that much confidence in just how he looked and everything, how he was carrying himself. I'm like, amazingly, the place is still there. After all these years, over 15 years later. Because he was actually good at it, but he probably would have got even better business if he looked a certain way. He presented a certain image. It's very important. You gotta have that. You got to have that look. You got to look like this is what you do. If you're a public speaker or something, you got to look like you speak in front of people. And it's several things. Like I say, it's an inner thing, it's an outer thing. Like whatever you in. Like if, say, you're a host or something somewhere, like at a major club, like a manager or something. You got to look like you belong there. And you got to think about how do you look? And especially in sales. Do you look like a competent salesperson? Shoot, it's even in the legal profession. Like I've said before, I've worked I've worked in the criminal justice system. You get some attorneys, they go into court looking just bummy and everything. That doesn't, didn't give that image of competence. And I noticed the better attorneys would dress better. See, understand something with clothes. All clothes are like a uniform. Clothes are like a uniform, and especially in business. Like if you're the CEO or manager of something, I'll use the retail example again. The manager, they always dress, he always had a certain style of dress. He didn't look like a worker. And he had a certain style of dress, also how he walked around, how he carried himself. In fact, I remember a customer didn't even officially know that dude was the manager. They said, yeah, that's the manager right there. And I said to him, how you know that's the manager? And he said, okay, look how he's dressed. Look how he's wearing his suit. Look how he's walking around. His head is up. He's walking around confident. That's part of the image. You have to look like it. And it is especially in whatever you do. You have to present an image like, hey, I can do this job. I can perform this service. Because, it's great to say, yeah, I gave that example of a mechanic who, well, he's questionable looking, but in the most part, he might have lost some business. And I'd hate to say that. He's a decent guy once you talk to him. But, that's the thing. You have to look. So, in fact, I'm going to tell you how deep your image is. Because just in the 1,001 jobs I've had, I had an insight as to how they hired people. A lot of it comes down to image. That's why, one of my jobs during the summer, I've had so many, it was training like younger people on how to present themselves during job interviews and stuff. And we were very important. How you dress is important because a lot of times, even going for a job, you present yourself. You're not just selling a product, you're selling yourself. So that's an important thing. Think about it. Think about where you at, If you're working blue collar or something, you don't want to look too, you probably don't want to look too much like you wouldn't get your hands dirty. It depends. Everything depends. So I want y'all to think about that. I know it's a little nuance, but, it's those little nuances make the difference between making $1,000 a month and making $10,000. That's how deep it is, all right? So y'all know the deal. Let's go make that money.